All right, today we're going to look at selling a covered call on SOFI. So I got a comment. Someone was asking me, why don't you ever do covered call videos? You just do cash secured puts. Well, 90% of what I do is cash secured puts just because I kind of have good success with those and I just kind of like that better. And if I do a cash secured put and I get assigned, meaning, I have to buy the stock, I'll turn around and do a cover call on that, but that only happens about 10% of the time. But almost a month ago, I was assigned a couple hundred shares of SOFI, 2 contracts. So that's been sitting there. I've been writing cover calls and I always forget to do a video while I'm doing that. And today I think I'm going to do a cover call on SOFI, even though it's not like ideal time, but I'm going to try to do one and see how I can do. The 2 contracts I was assigned was at $28 strike price. So when I do a cover call, I'm going to do $28 because I'm never going to get assigned, let's say, something at 29, pay for it, and then do a cover call like at 27. And then if I get assigned again, then I lose $200. So I'm always trying to do the cover call at least at the strike price where I was assigned. I guess that makes sense. So if I look at SOFI here, it is suddenly dipped about 0.5% since I decided I was going to do that today. So a little bit ago, it was up about 0.2%, but it was in the green, like 0.20 or so. In the past 15 minutes, it's dropped. So that's nice. So if I go up here and look at the chart here, and let's actually look at the 1-day chart, so you can see I'm not lying to you. Yeah, so it was down here, or let's see, no, it was up here. It was up here, now it's dropped down here a little bit, not too much. I'm still gonna do this. So typically I'd like to see it up here around the 50-day moving average, like at 27. I'd like to see about $1 more, but for the sake of creating a video, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and jump into Fidelity. And if you use Fidelity, you can do a little search up here for SOFI, and this pops up, and I'm going to do view the option chain. And remember, this time I'm going to do a cover call. I do so many cash secured puts, I'll probably misspeak and call it the wrong thing. If I do, I apologize in advance. Today's actually the 16th. And SOFI has weekly contracts, which I have this toggle on. And something I need to be aware of is earnings. So earnings is January 30th. If I knew that SOFI was going to have great earnings, I would go ahead and go out to the 30th, perhaps, for this cover call. But if I want to avoid dealing with maybe volatility around earnings, I might go to January 23rd. I'm going to look at a couple of things. So let's see what January 23rd has. When I had that cash secured put, 28 was the strike price. I want to start at 28. So let's come down here at 28, and I can see that selling a cover call at 28, January 23rd, I get 18 cents per share. Now I have 2 contracts. One contract would be $18 and 2 contracts would be $36. That doesn't make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. I would like to go actually like to 29 for a strike price, but that'd only be $16 total. So let's go ahead and go against my instincts and go beyond or to the earnings date, which is the 30th, January 30th. Come back down here, 28 for the strike price. And now we have 81 cents. So that would be $81 per contract, so $160. So that looks a little more enticing. However, if SOFI has great earnings, this price might run up quite a bit, maybe to the 30s or something. This just for fun. Look at February 6th, see what that has. So the 28th has, so $28 strike price has $1, so that'd be $208 if I do that contract. Or if I did the 29, it'd be 75 cents, so that'd be $150. None of these are really jumping out at me saying, pick me, pick me, pick me. If I do February 6th, that'd be a week after earnings. So if earnings goes kind of crazy one way or the other, waiting a week will give it time to maybe settle down just a little bit. I looked over at my timer. I've been talking for over 5 minutes. So let's just do this so you can see what's happening here. So I'm going to do February 6th. I'm going to do 75. I'm going to go with 29 and I'm going to do 2 contracts. So sell to open. So no matter if you're doing cash secured put or cover call, we're always selling. Might sound confusing. We're always selling. We're never buying. So sell to open. I'm selling 2 contracts. I'm giving somebody the option to buy my SOFI stock for $29 a share if it's at $29 a share or higher on February 6th. So the downside of doing cover calls is if this goes to 30 or 31 or 32 or 100, I still agree to sell it for 29. If it stays below 29, nobody's probably going to exercise this option. It's going to expire, but I get to keep this $150 approximately down here. Sell to open 2 contracts or call February 6th, $29 a share. The limit orders. One thing I want to do is go here and look at this. I'm going to click on midpoint here because when you sell something, you want to get the highest price possible. So I could, pick 79, but it would just stay there. Nobody would probably buy it. So do the midpoint. If you really want to make sure it gets filled, you can do the bid. And it's supposed to give you the best price or the going price, but not outside your limit. This all looks good. I don't mess with anything else. Hit preview order. And it all looks good. Let's go ahead and place the order. And it says filled at 77 cents. Now, before we go, let's look at something else here. So this is a screenshot of fidelity of the SOFI, what I had. So what happened was on December 19th, I had a cash secured put, 200 shares. That's how I acquired it through cash secured put. The average call space is 26.83. So that's what I went to look at. So even though that got exercised at 28, when you factor in the premium, my cost basis was 26.83. This is an IRA, so I don't have to really worry about detailed bookkeeping and everything with this, which is kind of nice about IRAs and Roth IRAs. So the last thing I want to do is update my tracking spreadsheet. So it's February 629, and we got it filled at 77. So let's go ahead and update this. So we did a sale. Today's the 16th. Remember, this one's a cover call. See, I don't have many cover calls here in my spreadsheet. One thing I forgot to check is the delta. I was looking at the delta here, and I was looking at about a 0.30, and I forgot what it was when I was looking, so it looks like it was about 0.31, so we'll go with that. And I got a request on my tracker spreadsheet of what the stock price was when I opened. So this stands for stock open, and this stands for stock price closed. I added these 2 columns from the request of people who watch these videos, so I'm going to start keeping track of that. I sometimes would put that in the note over here, but I'll go ahead and put columns in here, and if I remember, I'll put that in. About the spreadsheet, basically everything to the left of this heavy line is required. Things between here are calculated by formulas with the information I put in over here. Over here to the right is information that's more informational, not really required for anything super important except for jogging my memory what I actually did and everything like that, such as which account I did this with. So the stock price, and I think it was 26. When I did this, I think it was under 26 actually. Let's see, that's refreshing. So I'm going to go with 26.40 because I think it was a little bit less than that. So I got that updated. So to review, we did a sale on today's 16th. Expiration is February 6th. SOFI cover call, 29 strike price, 2 contracts, 77 cents a share. So that's $5,800. Basically collateral, which is in this case the collateral is the stock, and then my account, and then price was 26.40 approximately. The delta was about 31. So these aren't super important that they have to be right to the penny, but these over here do have to be exactly to the penny in order to calculate it. If nothing happens and this expires and goes to 0, put a 0 in here, I'll end up making $154. And the cover calls I usually let expire. They either get assigned or expire. I usually don't close those early unless basically the price of the stock has gone really down and the value of the option is basically nothing. Or it's the day of expiration. Might close this right before close to make sure that the price that I'm comfortable with is assigned. I just made a video on that, how options can still be exercised for a couple hours beyond the time that the stock market closes. So if you want to learn about that, check that video out. I'll put a thing at the end of the screen so you can find that easier. So that wraps up this video. So on a cover call, SOFI. We'll see you in the next video.